let's look at the topic. Don't know if you've seen the topic this year. These are some of the examples of the topic, right? In other words, these are threats, okay? So if there's a threat, in other words, you see that the dolphins are dying because of the plastic, all right? So plastic is the threat, right? Or alternatively, overpopulation is the threat. Or the fact that no one knows what a saola is the threat. Alright? So you need to identify one of these threats. Okay? Also note anything as approved by the teacher. So if a child doesn't want to use any of these, that's okay. Right? However, you need to approve it because there are certain things that they are not allowed to do. I'll show you now. Right? So the threats could be plastic waste, extinction, pollution, fossil fuel consumption, overpopulation, the deforestation, and then human causes of global warming. Those are threats. Right, so what do? We identify a cause, all right, to save our planet. The usual, investigate the problem, gather data, identify the factors that cause it or can solve it, and then present your research. So the topic is the same as like in the past. Find your cause or find your threat, find a cause, go do research, find data, come up with a solution. Alright? Right. So, just one more time. These are threats. Right? So, you identify your problem, your threat, and then you go find a cause to solve the problem. In other words, plastic waste is the problem, but what would your cause be? Eliminate the plastic waste. Can you see that this guides you to a solution, while that is just the problem? So the problem is plastic waste. How are we going to fix this? We are going to eliminate plastic waste. How are we going to eliminate plastic waste? I don't know. Go do research and come tell me. All right? For example, not just plastic waste, but waste in general. Recycling campaigns would be a cause to go and reduce the pollution, for example. Okay? Saving endangered species would be the solution for extinction. Okay? Reducing or controlling pollution would be the solution for pollution. I'm a poet. Right? And then fossil fuels, discontinue the use of fossil fuels would be reducing the carbohydrate, carbon footprints, reducing the people's carbon footprints. And then overpopulation, deforestation, or anything as approved by you. There are many reasons or many causes that they can find, especially in different areas. For example, in my area, we're on the Vaal River, right? And the fact that the fish are dying, the Vaal River. So, depending on your area, there would be certain things that you would focus more on than in other areas. So that's why anything is approved by the teacher. Okay? Right. You may not save electricity, and you may not save water. Alright? So, saving the planet is not necessarily saving electricity. Now, I know everyone wants to do load shedding nowadays because we've got so much about load shedding. So, how are we going to decrease the use of electricity? Not allowed. Simple reason that both these have been in previous plans. Okay? However, looking at saving water, saving the Vaal River is not saving water. It's actually solving the pollution problem, if you get where I'm going with this. So, not reducing of electricity or reducing of water. You need to be very careful when you look at these topics. For example, reducing electricity may reduce the carbon footprint. May. Alright? However, that's saving the planet and not necessarily saving electricity, if you get where I'm going with this. The same with saving water. Using less water is not necessarily, yes it is in a way, but saving the planet. Getting the water cleaner, that's saving the planet. So be very careful when you look at these topics. Don't go like, no electricity, no water. That's not what we're saying. We're saying saving electricity and saving water, reducing the use of that, not allowed. But anything regarding pollution, fossil fuels, etc., those things are part of this. Then water, electricity, saving. No saving.
Sorry, Fotiene. So it cannot be a topic on its own, but it can be included in another topic.
Saving electricity
it cannot be a topic on its own, but it can be a part of a solution from another problem.
Yes, reducing electricity will reduce the carbon footprint. Reducing water won't stop the pollution, but yeah, you can find a link somewhere else. But just be careful that when the kids come to you with these topics, they shouldn't go here. All right, they should focus more on the saving the earth type of thing, not reducing it. Okay, so be very careful when the kids come and choose their topics. I would screen the topics if I were you. I would check that they've got the topic more or less in what I want, not what they want, because everybody's going to save water, and especially nowadays, save electricity. All right, save Eskom. Right. Basically, you need to go and research the existing problem, just like in the past. All right. However, this year we worked in specifically the community involvement. All right, because remember we want the PAT to be part of the everyday life of the child. All right. So if there's pollution in the streets, for example, and they don't pick up the papers, how can the community get involved to fix this? Like recycling campaigns or whatever. The plastic thing, Wimpy is using paper straws now. Yeah, everybody's using paper straws, for example. That's one way. So you don't need to have the topic as broad. You can focus on something simple like the plastic straws. Okay, there is a solution now. They went to paper straws. But plastic bags, for example, the child can go and look at problems and solutions and how to implement using paper bags instead of plastic bags. All right, something small like that. It doesn't have to be huge to save the planet. You can just save this little part of this little shop, and then we can use paper bags. Who knows? Right, and then obviously look at the solutions. I'm getting lots of queries still about this is not a thesis, right? This is a grade 12 topic. So when we look at solutions, please don't look for a wow solution that the world can use. Any small solution like this shop will use paper bags, for example, is a solution. All right. How are they going to implement using paper bags? That's a solution. Don't look for something, because we've got two types of teachers here. Those of you that are happy with something, if there's just a solution, I'm happy. Right? And those teachers that actually look for a wow solution before they actually give the mark. Don't be that strict. They are still grade 12 poor little children. Okay, let's look at some discussions. If I had to start this in my class, the first thing I will ask is, what harms the planet? Basically, let's talk about what things are what is killing our planet. All right. So some will come up with plastic because it's in the news now. Some will come up with animals that are extinct. Some will come up with pollution. I think pollution will come up a lot. Some will come up. Basically, what I want us to brainstorm in the class, you can tell your kids, about what is killing the planet. Okay, these are things that are killing the planet. All right, why are they killing the planet? Or how are they killing the planet? And what can we do to stop that? That's basically the pre-discussion in your class. Just to get the kids in the idea of saving our planet. Because in my mind, the first thing I thought of was pollution. But the moment we start talking about it, I find that there are actually more interesting things to do than just simple pollution. And then remember, pollution is air pollution, water pollution, all kinds of pollution. Right? So let's talk about types of pollution. Let's talk about the animals that are extinct. Let's talk about the rhino. Right? Is the rhino extinct? Is it not? Etc. Right. And then, sorry, I added an extra one. Who can implement the solution? And that's the community involvement that we're talking about. In other words, in our community, who will use your solution so that we can save our planet? All right. The bees is also kind of big now, ne? If the bees die, we die, apparently. Okay. Oh, well, I think it's true. Okay. I don't know yet. See, I need to go into my research. I can't answer this question without actually going reading about it. Right, so how do we do this? We find a threat that harms the planet. Okay? So find something that harms or kills the planet, not the bees. Saving the bees would be the cause. Alright? Then research this threat. So you need to find the problem first. Find the problem, then find a cause to solve the problem. Alright, so that's how we approach this topic this year. We find a problem. It's not just the problem. Remember, we are working towards a solution. So find the problem, research the problem, and then research a possible solution. Okay? Some questions that you can ask in the class, or some questions that you can ask, right? What can be done to save the planet? In other words, that's the cause, right? What can be done to save the planet is a cause. How is this threat harming the planet? In other words, finding reasons why this is a bad thing. Okay. How can we prevent this threat is a solution. Who should focus on preventing community involvement, possibly? Which effect will preventing this threat have? In other words, how are we going to save the planet in the end? I'm hearing a focus question in my mind. How can we save the planet? Alright? Bit broad, but possible. Or will saving the bees save the planet? Or something like that. I'm hearing a focus question in my mind already when I read these questions. Okay? And then which people or organizations need to get involved. These are just some ideas of some of the questions that the kids can ask. Remember, the levels determine the type of research you're going to do. Okay, so what can be done to save the planet will guide you to a different type of research than the last one. Which people or organizations will need to get involved, for example. So the levels are actually saying basically that the type of question determines the type of research you're going to do. Okay? That's the point of the levels. So your job, as usual, nothing changed. Investigate the current situation in your community, South Africa, and then this year we put it broader. Ne? Usually it's in South Africa. This year it can be in the world. Okay? So they can go to America and go find out what exactly is the problem in America besides the Mexicans at this stage, and then see if there's any solution to their pollution. Right. Gather the data as usual. Find the problem, identify the problem and find a solution as usual, and then present the research. Okay? Before we start, remember to make backups, because every year there's an issue like the class overflowed or flooded because the consumer studies class was on top and the geyser burst up there and the water ran into the computer room and the server was on the floor as well as the backup server was on the floor, so everything got wet. Okay, now we don't have pads anymore. Alternatively, I made a backup. I put it in my laptop bag, but they stole my laptop bag, so now I don't have a backup anymore. Or the server crashed, and I did make a backup, but the kids worked in the meantime, and now I don't have it anymore. These are some of the stories that we hear, né? And it's all true. I mean, it's all true. And then it's your responsibility and the learner's responsibility. I said it in the roadshow, I'm going to say it again. When I was in grade 12, I did not see myself as a grown-up. I saw myself as a child, right? So it's your responsibility as the grown-up and the learner's responsibility, but you need to assist the learner with his responsibility because he's still a child, okay? then if the learners don't submit, it is your responsibility, no one else's. Okay?